Todd, packing a motorcycle is like playing Tetris, except when the game is on really hard mode and the pieces fall off the motorcycle at 70 miles an hour. Our goal at Best Motorcycle Roads is to make your next motorcycle trip the best it can be. The bottom line is this: prioritize your essentials, minimize your weight, and keep the critical gear easy to get to.
Are you talking about my weight? Minimize my weight?
Well, that too, if the shoe fits down. So today we're really talking about our kind of a revamp of one of our early episodes, packing guide, right? I mean, it's not about bringing. It's really not about bringing all your gear or all your clothes, right? It's just enough. So we're kind of gonna talk about a few different things, I think, but packing essentials, right? What do you need? What do you don't need? I think if you have to ask, do I need this? You probably don't.
Yeah.
We could start with rain gear because you definitely need good rain gear. You want that. High quality, we've used a lot of Nelson rigs, a lot of frog tugs. And I would say that most of us are kind of put on your rain gear guys. I mean, there are kind of the next echelon of people that are more of the, what would you say, all gear all the time kind of guys. So they're going to be the ones that ride with gear that's waterproof. So we haven't quite hit that. We're a little not quite that extreme.
You're right.
Maybe, but a lightweight for the most part for us, easy to put on gear is pretty good.
Yeah, that Nelson rig that I have, it all rolls up it's got its own bag built in to the rain suit, so it packs real tight. It's real small, but it's very waterproof. So
and it's really packs small, like almost like a Tyvek suit of sorts. Like it just kind of really compacts.
Yeah.
And I know that Harley Davidson has a really nice one too, as well. So, and what I really like about most of them are very high vis, which is you do need that when it starts to rain because man, you get lost.
Yeah, they have a lot of the reflective tape and things on them. Yeah, it's nice.
And then I guess I think a lot about layered clothing. Now we've talked a lot about the Bond armor.
Yep.
But no matter what you're doing, having many different layers kind of is good because you start with your base layer, and if you're looking at the Bond why am I missing it here? Bond body armor.
There you go.
You kind of start with your armor. It's kind of like your base layer, and then you build on top of that mid layers, outer shells for comfort. That's what I love about it, and I've just really liked it a lot. And then you can kind of keep adding layers if you need to because you always have that base layer on. But we've talked about this, but like some of these coats can be very bulky,
very, very bulky.
and then it gets to be uncomfortable almost when you're riding, especially when it gets hot. So I don't know. You're kind of in the middle. You just picked up some, but haven't really used it yet.
Right. I just got my Bond armor. I haven't had a chance. It's winter here, so we're not riding right
New.
now. But I'm kind of looking forward to it. Now I can use a different jacket that doesn't have the big shoulder pads and things in it because I've got the armor on underneath. So
I'm excited to try out more options here, but just the layers. Like you're going to want a couple of layers no matter what you're doing in case it gets cooler, colder, wetter, drier, hotter, really friggin' hot.
Super hot.
That's where we tend to be riding mostly when it's warmer. So layers is key. And then, gloves is something we always wear, but then some sort of a waterproof glove too, because as soon as your gloves get wet, man, you get cold.
Yeah, and Gore-Tex is perfect waterproof glove.
The one thing I think you probably have too many, but a few pairs of gloves is nice. A backup pair. We've also been big fans of the latex gloves underneath of a regular glove too.
Yep.
That really helps kind of put them in non-waterproof gloves to at least get close. And I've found it keeps my hands warmer too if it does get cold.
Yeah, it kind of keeps that wind from coming through. Yeah.
Outside of that, I think this is kind of optional, but the boot covers, most boots are not waterproof when it comes to riding on a motorcycle. They find a way to get that water up and around. That reminds me of one thing that I'd like to go back because your Nelson Reese has a hood.
It does have
rain
hood.
Gear.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because that's one thing that when you stop at a stop sign, it's raining, water will run down your helmet. It generally will just run down the back of your neck.
Right.
So having this real thin hood
it's
built
almost
in,
nothing.
you put it up over your head first and then put your helmet on. So then when the water does run down your neck or down your helmet, it won't go into your neck.
Right.
It just goes right down the jacket.
Kind of like when shingles are put on the house, you know, you
Yeah.
put it so it can't permeate.
Yeah, so
That's a
that
good point.
built-in hood on the jackets is.
And I
is
really
great.
love, like, even sometimes when I have a jacket that's armored, I'll still put the rain gear over the top of that too. So
Yeah.
that works really good. So, but boot covers is kind of like a footy cover, I guess you might call it. Those work really, really well. Just again, it's the same principle. It kind of pushes the water away to the back of the boot. And then I'm a big fan of boot dryers too. There are some really small boot dryers that you can get. They look like just two little inserts, and what they basically do is just heat up. There's no fan on them even. And what I found is if I put put a sweatshirt or a shirt over the top, it just heats up the inside of those boots. And by morning they're dry. And boy, there's nothing better.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing worse than putting that boot on the next day and it's still your sock is
damp.
wet. You're like
Cold and damp.
It's not good.
Yeah.
It's not a good feel, especially if you're going back into the rain the next day.
Yeah.
So yeah, like maybe you can talk, Todd, about like kind of packing smarter, not heavier. Like what methods have we used here?
Yeah, well, I'm the classic overpacker, and I'm getting better.
I always laugh because I envisioned you the night before just taking and dumping the drawers into the into the bags.
I'm not too far off from that. No, I've gotten better because I've been riding more up. You know, my wife comes along, and then we need 5 days worth of stuff on a bike with both of us. So. I've become a big fan of the packing cubes.
Yeah.
It helps organize.
So how do those work?
Well, it's a real like a mesh bag, and it's real small. They have all different sizes. So, I have tiny ones. I have medium, big. And just unzip them. I take all my say underwear, and I just roll it all up. Stick 5 in there, and then I can zip it shut. And now that's all in one little bag. Stick that in the bag that's going to go into my saddle bag, and then. The next size medium, I'll roll up some T-shirts, stick those in there, and then maybe for the biggest one, maybe that's where my jeans, or some pants go. So it keeps your items kind of organized.
Yeah.
It makes it easier when you're just trying to. I need to grab an underwear. I know exactly where I'm going for it. So.
Similar to that, I kind of use a system that's similar. I do 2 waterproof bags, and mostly because I think over the years I've had less. I've had a little less waterproofed baggage on my motorcycles I've ridden, so I kind of got into this thing where I love the Wolfman, but there's a bunch of different ones out there, waterproof bags, and I get 2 of them. And I pack all my clean clothes in one, and then I move over to the dirty clothes in the other one. And when we went out to Seattle, what I found was a similar idea to what you have is instead of packing all my underwear in one spot, pants in one spot, what I did is I pack a day's clothes and roll a day's clothes up together.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah.
So then I'm like rolling a shirt, pants, and underwear
and socks
up into one.
That's great. Yeah.
And then kind of just the tubes like you're talking about. And then when I stop, I just grab
one set,
and it has everything in it.
That's a great idea.
It works out pretty good too.
Yeah.
Similar idea.
I might try that. I haven't done it that way before.
But what I really love about the 2 bag is clean clothes in one. You don't feel like you're getting the dirty clothes and the clean clothes together. And then also, we talk about packing a pair of swim trunks. Then that wet swim trunks can always go in the dirty clothes bag and doesn't get the clean clothes wet.
Because those are waterproof bags. So
they're all waterproof.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah. I've always wondered too. I've seen these clear plastic bags that you can get that has a little vacuum, and it sucks the air out and it really squeezes everything down like a. It's like
I forget
it's like a vacuum seal.
Yeah.
It's like a vacuum seal, but not the ones you do for food. But it'd be kind of a reusable. And I've kind of been interested to try something like that. I just haven't pulled the trigger and bought one, but that seems like it would be a great space saver.
Yeah, I would think the only thing would be how do you vacuum? I mean, if there's a way to vacuum it.
Every time, because otherwise you'd be like, poof, I've got all this extra stuff now.
It's like a bad cartoon, right?
Yeah.
Todd, you also use like a fitted saddlebag too, right? So like when you get off the bike at night, you open the saddlebag and kind of just pull the whole thing out.
Yeah, it's got handles, and it's the shape of my saddlebag. Now I'm on a Honda Goldwing, so I've got the hard cases on the side, but these bags are the same shape as that, so. At the end of the night, open up that saddlebag, and I just grab the handles, and I pull that whole thing out and walk into the hotel. So that's really nice to have those if you can find those.
And I'm rarely riding 2 up, and I will generally pack a bag that's kind of my motel bag. So I just pop that off and take it with me. which is a similar concept. I have a bunch of extra stuff that usually is in my outer saddlebags, but it's the same concept. Just what do you need to take in every night? You know, trying to minimize the
carrying everything in, everything out,
I
which
mean, I
is
remember
what I've
the
been
early
doing.
days,
Yeah.
3 trips, right? And it's like,
Oh, yeah.
how do I got 3 trips? You know, like what the heck? And then you kind of got to be careful of what you pack, where, and how, right? I mean, me packing on top of the back seat does bring the weight of the bike up, which isn't always perfect, right? I mean, lower center of balance, the better.
Yeah, try and pack your heavy stuff as low as you can into your bags. Keep that center of gravity nice and low. Tools, laptops or chargers and that kind of stuff that kind of has some weight.
Yeah.
Not chargers, but the battery pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will also say, like, some of the stuff that you want to be able to get quick, like I've talked about this before, and we've said, like, I like to pack my rain gear on my right side saddlebag. We're in U.S. drive, on the right side of the road. So that way, if we have to pull over on the side of the road and park, then I'm not on the traffic side of the bike to get my rain gear out, which I feel it's just a little more safe.
Yeah.
And then pack that at the top. So it's like the easiest first thing I can get out.
Yeah, that's a great tip.
Yeah. And then maybe just like an extra set of gloves up there at the top too. You don't want to be looking for it all, because not only are you getting wet while you're waiting, but everything else is getting wet while you're waiting too. So I know that when Turk and I ran into rain going out of Seattle, usually you can find like we pulled underneath a bridge, which is nice too. And you can usually find something like that, but sometimes I know we've sat out in the middle of Nowheresville and just
Quick, get your stuff
the
out.
unfortunate thing about the no chains and no interstates rides, there's less bridges and overpasses.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and then we talked about just those chargers and power banks, and just we're in the generation of we have a few CPAP machines.
Yeah.
The thing I think of a lot too is just like plug-in space when you get into the hotel. I mean, generally speaking, there's 1 or 2 plug-ins, 1 or 2 USBs now, maybe in some of the hotels have been updated. But like,
not if you're going to a mom and pop hotel.
right.
Yeah, sometimes there's no plugins. They've got
You're
lamps.
unplugging the TV
The
to get
TVs and the lamps are using up the few. There's only like 2 or 3 sometimes outlets in those older hotel rooms. So, yeah, I like the idea you have is you bring an extension
power strip
that's got USBs, it's got C power, it's got just AC.
It really is nice, because by the time you calculate, I'm charging up 2 or 3 cameras or batteries, charging up the headsets, charging up your phone, charging. Pretty soon you're like, good Lord, and power bank. I'd like to keep that topped off.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of power consumption. I probably shouldn't say this, because if they see this video, they'll probably charge us more for the room. Like, what the heck just happened? The power usage.
But this is such a great tip, because I've been in that situation. You get there and go, okay, I'll charge my phone now. As soon as that's charged, I'll charge my headset, and then I'll charge my camera,
and then
I'll
and then exactly.
Yeah.
What things would we say not to pack, maybe, Todd?
Well, like me, you don't need a pair of pants for every
7
day.
days of clothes.
Right. You don't need a new pair of pants every day.
We've ran into a number of places that you can usually find, if you really get desperate, like there's laundry services in most every hotel.
Yeah.
I mean, throw a load in halfway through and you're pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean,
yep. So now I'm cutting that down. One pair of jeans can last 2 or 3 days anymore. But non-essential gadgets. If you don't need your laptop with you to dump like camera footage, don't bring it. It's just extra heavy. I like to have a tablet with. Sometimes I put it on the handlebars. I mount it on the bike and use it as a GPS. But things like that. Just bulky jackets. If you can, simplify that a little bit.
it's kind of what drove me nuts when I kind of flipped over to Bond. I had my rain jacket and my big jacket and all these jackets, and pretty soon I'm like, I need a trailer just for the jackets. Another thing I don't understand why nobody has, like, why hasn't someone come up with a hard drive that I can stick my memory card in and it just backs it up?
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't that be nice?
There
should invent that.
There you go.
This is a section we call the Toolkit. We share motorcycle gear review, and other riding tips. Makes a backup with a date or something on it. I don't know. It just seems frustrating. Brilliant. So for the Toolkit today, we've talked a lot about different things. I think the packing cubes or the kind of dry bags. That's kind of one of the options that we've had there.
Yeah.
Those are nice. The saddlebag liners is another one, and really do searching for your bike.
Yeah, because they custom fit.
Yeah,
You know,
Harleys have great ones.
Yeah.
Goldwings have great ones. Even the Yamaha, they have some nice ones. And then if you don't have an exact thing, there's a ton of places that'll make a bag, or even just what I've got a huge bag that I put all the tools in, and it is like this monster bag, super thin. And then I just shove it in the bottom of my saddlebag, and it's way too big for what it is. But it's just on Amazon or one of these places, just a super thin bag, but it's kind of like a tough bag.
Yeah.
And it works great. You know, it is just a generic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you know, weather, rain gear. People have asked us so many questions about this, but a really good rain suit, the boot covers, and latex gloves. If you had those three things, you'd be in great shape, I think, for the most part.
For rain.
Yeah. Yep. And then I was thinking on the extras, some sort of a charging battery pack. I mean, those are just almost invaluable. Even at night, I've found, you know, when if you run out of places, that's another place to charge something up all the way. Microfiber towels, we talked about that, I think, last episode, cleaning off like camera lenses. They work good for if you get the windshield soaked down. They really get that. I mean, when you get into the bugs, I mean, even every day, just the lights and everything in the front.
Yeah. And when you wake up in the morning and there's dew all over your bike, including your seat, you need something to...
Yeah, when you forget to put the cover in and do that.
Yeah.
And then I'm a big fan of the boot dryer that really, for the first few times I used it, I was like, well, this doesn't work at all. Well, then I figured out that it was creating heat, no blower, and I put that
you
cover
covered
over the top, and then it was good to go.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I'm going to get one of those.
Well, if you like the podcast today, please like and subscribe. Sign up for our BMR Rider Alerts. It's our way of keeping you in the loop, and we promise no spam.
Keep the spirit of adventure alive, and remember, bikes, friends, and endless roads, the stories ride forever. Take care.